Now, if you follow any photographers on social media, whether it's Instagram, Threads, YouTube, etc., MySpace, Facebook, Tumblr, you may have seen these people use this camera, talk about the camera, post photos from this camera, or post photos of this camera, and then you look up this camera's price, and then you're wondering to yourself, one, why the hell is this camera expensive? And two, what the hell is the big deal about this camera? So I'm going to tell you about it because I did my own research. I've kind of dived into a rabbit hole on Reddit. I've done the work for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And now you're asking yourself, okay, wait, I don't know what camera you're talking about. And that's totally fine. I should have said in the beginning, but that is the Q3 or the Leica Q3 43. This is a different version of the Q3, and I will dive into that shortly, but Leica has a series of cameras called the Q. They've had a Q, Q2, Q3, Q3 43. And if you looked up some of these prices of the cameras, they can range between $4,000 to $7,000. And you're probably asking yourself, why is it so freaking much? And I even have had myself asking myself that too, because like I said, I didn't know much about these cameras until further along I dived into my camera journey or photography journey, and I was able to learn and watch YouTube videos, and like I said, I did the work for you by diving thoroughly deep. It wasn't a lot of work, to be honest. It was kind of right there and then. So like I said, let's kind of hop right into it, and it kind of break down why this camera is so expensive, why people like this camera, and should I get it? I mean, I think the last question of should I get it, I think we both know that's not a no, because it's a very expensive camera. But anyways, I'm rambling on to the point. So why these cameras are expensive is a very important question to ask, because we have cameras that could do exactly the same thing for almost 2/3 less, maybe way cheaper. But the thing is about Leica is that they don't mass produce the cameras like we would see other camera manufacturers do. They don't use automated machines. All their cameras are all handmade. They from usually the lens to the body, even to the straps, I believe they have people who make the straps, because the straps are leather. But they're all handmade. They're all handmade in Germany, so they have to abide to labor rules and labor wages. And German labor workers make a lot of money, so they have to cover that cost. But they also use high quality materials on their cameras. This body, I believe, is an alloy magnesium. Some of their other cameras use brass, like the M series do. And that kind of just already is a pricey product to get. And they want to make sure that their cameras are not all plastic. And in fact, I actually think the Q3, I don't think there's any plastic on it. I think most of it is magnesium or a form of metal. So that's another factor. And like I said, they're all handmade. So every part about this camera is put together by an individual. There's no machine being used. Maybe they use a machine to do a diagnostics on the software, or to do, I don't know, to study the image stabilization of this camera. But a lot of it is, done by hand. So if that's not enough reason, let me dive also into their lenses. Now, Leica uses very high quality glass inside their lenses. Now, if you look at a lot of their lenses, whether it's this series or the M series, they use a series of lens called the aposummicron. Now, apo means apochromatic. And what that normally means is that on a standard lens, they usually focus on 2 color planes, and then they then center focus it to give certain color to the image. I'm trying not to get really scientific with it, but I also don't know the full scientific terms for it, so bear with me. With the aposummicron lenses, it gets the green, reds, and blue, those form of lights, inside their glass, and then it gets it to a single focal point. So rather than it being kind of red and blue and straight to focal and then greens flying around somewhere, it's all straight down into one single focal point, which gives these lenses the capability to almost have no chromatic aberration or no fringing around corners of images that you may have seen with other lenses. They just did I think it was a 50 mil for the M series. That M series is almost $5,000. If that doesn't say what kind of quality glass they're putting in there, then I don't know what does. But that's another thing. It's that they put a very high quality lens on this camera. So that's another example for why it's expensive. because the craftsmanship into this camera is very thought out. This is a Q3 43. If you notice the name 43 compared to a Leica Q3, so most Q series are all 28 millimeter. This is a 43 millimeter focal length. So you do pay extra for that extra focal length. So it's also another thing why, because if you compare this to the Q3 43 to a Q3, I think it's $1,000 less. Maybe $900, but like we're gonna round up to $1,000. But that's also another reason why this camera here itself is 6K, but that's, or 7K, apologies. But that is why this camera can be expensive. It's, you know, it's, like I said, it's craftsmanship. They don't produce a lot of these. If you go on B&H right now, it says limited in quantity sent out or something like that, which it pretty much means that when you place an order, the factory in Germany will make it and then they will send it out. So you can't go to Best Buy or you can't go to Target and get this easily. You could go to B&H, maybe get one, but I still think they only have like a few on hand because they only buy a few or make a few. So that's just economic standpoint. You know, the build, the work that goes into it can make it very expensive. Now, Leica has a very strong reputation for their colors because of their lenses. So I wouldn't say this is one of the factors, but it kind of gives it a reason. Leica has this thing called Leica Look. And what that means is that these lenses on these camera sensors or even on their film cameras, they produce a very, I would say very subtle contrast. It gives contrast where it needs to be. It gives very vivid colors, so a lot of true color forms, but they really make them pop. And there are very sharp images. I mean, using this camera and then using my M6, on my M6, when I use an actual Leica lens, my film is sharper. On here, on the JPEG, on a 61 megapixel sensor, that image is sharper. So the lens really helps produce a very sharp image, which I feel like causes a lot of photographers to be like, that's why I buy it. That's why I kind of love that camera. I guess that's what answers the question of what makes it a big deal, is that there's a certain look that this camera can produce, and that's what draws people to it. Also, Leica has their very own like film simulation. They're called Leica color profiles. And those also just really emphasize your image and really kind of give your image a very strong characteristic. I mentioned this before, the Leica Eternal, is that it? That's what it is. That color profile really makes your night photos really night photos. It gives that very like nighttime photography style. And then they have a Leica brass that gives it a very filmy vintage look, and that I really love. So each of their profiles kind of really solidify what that profile is trying to do. So I think that's what also makes them very, have that very unique reputation, is that they have that distinctive look that you could possibly replicate through Lightroom, but just having it in your camera and you just you take a photo and it's one and done. So that's kind of, it doesn't factor in an expense, but it factors in what makes it a big deal. Another thing that makes this camera, actually just this one particularly, a big deal is that it is a 43 millimeter focal length. I've already mentioned this maybe like 5 times already, but 43 millimeter for some reason has been people's very like favorite like spot for taking photos, like the focal length. They've loved it. I've used it for a week and a half, and I really think 43 millimeter is just an ideal like focal length. Do I wish other companies made 43 millimeter focal length? Yeah, I do. I would buy that in a heartbeat, because I don't know. I feel like it's really, really nice. Another thing that makes this camera very, I guess, very big deal is that Leica really prides itself as a very luxury camera brand. Although I feel like when I think of luxury, I think of like, high fashion design, but that's what Leica prides itself being. They do make very, very, very good cameras. They're not trying to just be like, hey, we're Leica, so we can make a shitty camera and get away with it. They take themselves seriously when they make cameras. They don't beat around the bush. Even their standard point and shoots that you can buy still, they're still good quality lenses on those cameras, which produce great images. So Leica has that reputation of a luxury brand, but they also have that reputation that they build and make amazing cameras. And Leica has a very long history in the camera making industry, aside, like similar to Nikon, Canon, and Fujifilm. They're all, I would say, like, they're the camera brands that kind of not pave the way. I don't want to kind of give them a very big like, no, we're not worthy kind of feel, but they've been here for a while and they've been doing it for a very long time. So they kind of know how to create great cameras. And so I think Leica has been holding that reputation for a very long time. I mean, I think Leica was very well known for their war cameras. Like there was a lot of war photographers that were using they're like Leica, I forget what it's called, but a lot of them were using Leica models, and that's because at that time, like they were great cameras to carry in battlefield or in war zones, I guess. I don't know the best way to say it. But overall, kind of sum up this video, these cameras are expensive. Not everybody can just easily, drop a lot of money and buy it. You have to take a while to save up or use a credit card. But they have a history. They're built with high quality materials. They're handcrafted, so you know that like hard work has gone into it. Very strong inspections have gone to it because they don't want to release a camera out to the world that has, like a shitty part on it. So you know that they're built with the mindset of that this has to be the best version of this camera, and then the next one has to be 3 times better in terms of quality, not in software, but like, every time they make one, it gets better and better and better. Do I feel like this camera has a uniqueness when it comes down to image? 100%. I think it does beautiful images. It creates a very unique kind of, I guess you would say, just color profile to what you capture. Do I think this is the best camera in the world? Obviously, no. There are other cameras that are just as good as this and also just as cheap, but it's still a good camera overall. I would find myself, if I had the money, I would buy this camera in a heartbeat. But I'm the type where I want to see what other fixed camera come out, because I'm curious. Like I said, like I want to see what else other camera companies can do, because I feel like they now understand like Leica has this very strong grip on this kind of type of camera, and I think a lot of other camera manufacturers are trying to kind of replicate that. So I don't know if I will buy it so soon. I want to wait what 2025 provides, but we shall see. Yeah, that's just kind of overall deal of what makes these cameras really expensive and unique. So hopefully that helped solve some of your questions. Maybe. I don't know. I tried my best. I did a lot of research. A lot of it was repetitive of what I just said. So if you have better reasons, comment down below. I'm very, very intrigued to what you have to say. I also like hearing you guys' opinion about these cameras, because I know some people are like, these cameras are not even the great cameras that you can find better, or something like that. So anyways, I like enjoying these, or I like making these videos, not enjoying these videos. I enjoy making these videos. So definitely leave a like and a subscribe. Comment whether you would buy this camera or not. I mean, I don't know, but hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go to bed now, but I'll catch you guys all later.